Hello and welcome to your live Wednesday training webinar. My name is Jared Krebs. I'm here in San Antonio, and before we get started with today's message, I just want to share with you 10 things to expect when building your USANA business. Number one, there will be ups and downs just like anything. Number two, success or failure is up to you. If you succeed, it's because of you. If you fail, it's because of you. Not because of USANA, not because of your upline or your team. Success or failure is up to you. Number three, the goal is for you to become independent and be an independent leader and example for your team. Number four, make your plan on the weekends. Do it, review it, and make adjustments. Plan, do, review, and adjust. Number five, it's going to take time. It's going to take 1 year to become competent at the skills to do this. It's going to take 3 years to develop a significant part-time income. It's going to take 5 years to develop a significant full-time income and 7 years to become world-class. It can happen faster, but it's going to take time. Number six, it takes consistency. You have got to do your DMO week in and week out, just like you would at a job. Number seven, you're going to have to grow and get outside of your comfort zone. Number eight, mental toughness is necessary. Number nine, the grass is not greener in other companies. The grass is greener where you water it. And number 10, this is a long-term game. USANA is 25 years strong with over $2.5 billion paid to its associates. It's given me and my wife a full-time income for over a decade, as well as thousands of people around the world. And hundreds of thousands have made a part-time income with USANA over the years. So it works if you work. And bonus tip, always remember that amateurs sell products, but professionals sell the vision. Make sure that you're inviting your clients to these webinars, sharing these videos with your prospects, your new associates. Let them see that USANA is much more than a fabulous product, but it's also a great community. It's also a great income opportunity. It's also a great personal growth vehicle. And so, that is the bonus tip, and today's training is going to be my income journey. I'm going to take you through each year of my 14 years, and I'm going to basically tell you what I made and what I learned during each of those 14 years. And well, I'm in my 14th year, so let's say 13 years. And the 14th year is not done yet. We have a couple months left here in my 14th season. So I keep a notepad on my phone of my each year, like what I made and things like that, like critical info that I want to be able to reflect on. And so I want to encourage you to do the same. I have it always right here. It's called My USANA Journey. And it basically says each year, like what happened, what did I make, who are the top associates that I sponsored, and what did I learn kind of from each year. So let's get started, and obviously we will probably still end the webinar on time. Sounds like Facebook is not allowing me to stream. Big surprise, that's okay. Okay, so in my first year in USANA, it was really 2006 because I started at the end of 2005, like in December. Oh, and by the way, I'm sharing you these numbers, but like it's not for you to compare yourself to me. It's for you to gain perspective and value for your own journey. So don't look at my numbers and feel like, oh geez, whatever, I didn't do it like this much or this fast or whatnot. Again, comparison is the thief of joy. You are on your own journey. You are on your own evolution. You have your own circumstances, and it's all okay, and it's all beautiful. So let's get started. And by the way, I have the same thing. I can always look at someone too who's made more money faster or whatnot, and I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? So I'm there too. Anyway. So yeah, comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare, just learn. So here we go. The first year with USANA, I made $8,600, and that was the whole year, right? 2006, and it was such a fun time. It's like your first year is like, it's like the honeymoon phase of your business. Back then we only had, we did not have YouTube videos. We didn't even text, okay? We did a thing called 10 a day for 10 days with DVDs, where I would call people. I say, hey, can I practice my USANA presentation on you? I will mail you a DVD to watch. And it was like this old DVD, and I've spent $100 for 100 DVDs. And I mailed 10 DVDs a day for 10 days. And I was calling people and mailing out DVDs. And it was crazy, but I put so much out there and had so many three-way calls. And after that, I didn't really have that many people and join from those first 100. But my sponsors were so impressed that they were like, well, we want to spend more time with Jared, right? So I attracted my sponsors, which is a big important thing you have to do in this type of a business. To get the type of training you need, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You know, I was a squeaky wheel. So my sponsor, Brian Morris, came to Denton, Texas. We had an event there. He came early, and we ended up spending like that week together working, and he ended up attracting and prospecting this couple called Steve and Ginger McDaniels. And he sponsored them, but he put them in my business because he knew how serious I was. And I had already contacted 100 people in my first 10 days. Could you imagine if you had an associate that did that? Okay, so we're starting to do that now with texting and YouTube videos. So it's kind of come full circle. But throughout that time, like my first year, you know, it's like you don't have the skill set yet to be super successful at this unless you've been maybe in a company prior to this. But the class of 2006, I personally sponsored 13 associates my first year. My top associates were Viola and Randy Krebs, my parents, who became gold directors, and John and Sylvia Loving. I sponsored them at the end of the year. They became silver directors, and they were the best out of those 13 people. Okay, so the other thing is we switched from DVDs pretty quickly into doing flip chart presentations. So I was no longer working from the comfort of my home. I was now traveling and meeting people at Barnes & Noble and showing them a flip chart presentation. And that began many years of doing flip chart presentations. We never did DVDs or three-way calls again for like years. And it's funny how we're kind of getting back to that basic fundamental. So I'm going to go faster through these other years, but the first year, that's kind of what happened. Now the second year, I was very consistent the whole time. I had a job as a guitar teacher, and I continued to teach lessons the first year while I was working USANA. And I worked USANA like super consistent. I was going through phone calls. I was scheduling appointments. I was doing the very best I could. My mom and the McDaniels leg just started to like take off. And I wish that for all of you to have like some people in your business that eventually just take off and start throwing thousands of points in. And that will happen from your own consistency because you, again, are the leader of your own team. But when you have one leg that's starting to take off, then you can put everybody on the other leg. And that's what I did. And that's basically how I made the 8,000. So in the second year, I kept going, and I learned the power of affirmations in the second year. So like around the end of the first year, I started to do affirmations. And the affirmation at the time was, I am a solid gold director, quickly, easily, and surprisingly early. And I would tell myself that every morning. I'd get so excited and say, I am a solid gold director, quickly, easily, surprisingly early. And I just kept saying it because no one thought I was going to become a gold director. There was other associates that were growing faster. And I just kept putting it out there for like 4 or 5 months, like towards the end of my first year. And by March of 2007, I had a week where I made $1,000. And actually, it was my second time I had done that. So the first time you become a silver director, I became a silver director in my first year. But in the second year, in March, when I made that second $1,000, I was like, okay, I'm going to go for it. Let's go for it. And I just told the team, I'm going to put out these incentives. If you bring people this week, you're going to get like maybe $100 off your pack. If they sign up with the top level pack, I'll give them a $100 discount, whatever. We're going gold. Let's get this thing going. Let's get it up. And I just got the team, like, I guess, excited about it. And I put out some incentives. And I, in the month of March of 2007, I made $4,000. I made $1,000 every week, right? Like to become a gold director. And it was like the first time where I really learned the power of my words, that I could see how I took it from nothing and created a business from the power of my words. And that was awesome because it was like, wow, I am powerful. I can do this. I can put my words out there, put my energy out there, and attract good business. In the class of 2007, I personally sponsored 20 associates. That was my best year until this year. And I ended up making at the end of 2007, 65,000. And so that was awesome. That was probably more than I was making as a guitar teacher. And of course I was reinvesting it, a lot of it back into my business. So like, that's the thing. It's like when you're making money, especially at the beginning, you have to reinvest back into going to conventions, reinvest back into tools, back into, I actually upgraded my car. I had a Pontiac Grand Am with no air conditioning when I started USANA. And when I was making this, this first year that I made good money, I actually got a Mercedes E350, and it was like $600 car payment. And I did it because I was like, okay, in my mind, this is my mobile office. And it did something to my brain. It helped me like believe, or maybe also the people around me believe that what I was doing was working. I don't think that you need to do that in this day and age. I think it was a different time. Obviously, having a new car from your business is cool. And if you do it the right way, then you don't put yourself in like a ton of debt or in a bad position, then it's okay. And I was able to obviously pay it and everything. So, but I don't want to make people feel like you need to have a new car or something like that to like take it to the next level, because you don't, for sure. But out of those 20, the best people was Donna Womack, the one who lost 50 pounds in 5 months. She became a silver director. It's my roommate's mother, my old roommate's mother. And Jason Levi, who is a friend that went to college with me, he became a silver director as well. And I stay in touch with both of them to this day. Donna still orders regularly. Jason has not ordered for a long time, but he started his business savvy with USANA, and we stay as good friends. All right, so that is the second year. Boy, I got to go faster here, else we're going to be here for like an hour. Okay, so the third year continued on is when I moved to San Antonio. I moved to San Antonio in 2008. You know, it was kind of a transition year because I was in Denton. I did not have a girlfriend. I did not have any like connections in that city that would make me like want to stay in Denton. So Brian Morris, my sponsor's like, you know what? If you move to San Antonio, we would like build a dynasty together. We could work closer together. We could do all this stuff together. And it was basically like, I was like, okay, you know, like I was like, to me, it was just exciting. It was cool. So I moved down to San Antonio in 2008. It was like halfway through 2008. I was working my business really hard, but I wasn't sponsoring a lot. And somehow I still maintained my income. I made $66,000 in 2008. And I only personally sponsored 10 associates, and none of those associates were really MVP like type associates. So it was kind of like a year where I just maintained, but I wasn't really building like solid foundational business either. I don't remember too much about 2008, but that's what happened. All right, now the fourth year is probably the defining year, 2009, because my income went down and I didn't quit. Okay, so 2009, I've already been in San Antonio now for like maybe 5 to 6 months. And 2009 comes and I'm just working USANA full time. I'm doing my very best in this new city where I don't know anybody. Okay, I met people, I just literally met people like on the streets, like, I mean, at Barnes and Noble, at the car wash, at places like Bikram Yoga, where I would go and do yoga. I was out in public every day just meeting new people because we didn't have Facebook. Like the only way you could get new leads is if you were buying leads, which I tried that, but a lot of times they're not very good. Or you just meet people and then you get to know them and get their phone number. I became a master of that. We were still doing flip chart presentations at this point. So anyway, long story short, in the fourth year, I personally sponsored 14 associates. So again, not a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't like break through into the high emerald and diamond ranks earlier, is because I wasn't as focused on personally sponsoring. But in 2009, I made 49,000. So my income went down like by 16,000. And well, first of all, it was hard. Like it sucked having your income go down, but it also like my heart got broken by a girl, not Crystal. So I was dating this girl named Catherine Martinez, and I love this girl. And I was 29 and she was 20. Okay, so there's kind of like a little age divide there. But she was kind of like my first like love type girl, I guess you could say. Like I had dated earlier in life, but like I took a few years off from dating, and then she kind of got me back into it. And anyway, so like I had a broken heart most of that year, or half of that year. I sponsored 14 of those. The best three of those 14 was Mauricio Flores, Aurora Cantu, and Mario Alvarado. Those are the ones that were the shining stars of my class of 2009. Mauricio eventually became a gold director. Aurora is still with us today as an active associate, and Mario is a silver director who's inactive. Okay, so that's my 4th year. That was a hard year, but I attracted a gold director, so that was cool. Okay, the 5th year was a comeback year. I kept going. I made 65,000, so I got back into like kind of where I was in that last years prior. And in the year of 2010, I personally sponsored only 8 associates. Can you believe this? I look at these numbers and I'm like, what the hell? I mean, no wonder I wasn't getting hired, because I wasn't personally sponsoring very much. I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, I personally sponsored only 8. Jack and Jay, of those 8, the top stars was Jack and Jay Henserling, who also became gold directors later on. Christopher Lampy, who's still with us today, active on auto order. He's a builder. And Melissa Carter, who is still active with us today as well. She's a Premier Platinum. She's a dear, dear friend. And so that was the 5th year. It was really I would say it was a year where I was focused on having people sign up for the right reasons. I was not trying to have people sign up for like fads or have people, I don't know, sometimes you want people to sign up because it's like you're trying to, maybe they don't really want it, but you want them to want it. So I was building really good foundational business in 2010, and it bled over into 2011, where I started to have some real growth and duplication. In the year of 2011, that was my 6th year, I made 95,000 with USANA. And that was actually more than I had ever made in my life. And at that time, it's also the year I met Crystal. So I was pretty much spending it just as fast as I was making it, trying to impress Crystal. But I personally sponsored 13 associates that year. And the star out of that year was Solomon Castillo, who's still with us today. He goes to the events. His whole family has signed up. So out of those 13, I guess the rest of them dropped out or didn't do much, because I didn't write them as like my shining star associates. So that was my 6th year, 2011. It was growing well. I still had a lot to learn in the realm of duplication and scripts. We did not have a script system. It was all kind of still by the seat of your pants. And in the 7th year, my income in 2012 actually went down. And I feel like it was because our systems and our scripts and how we did things was not as duplicatable as it needed to be. But I still am grateful that I made in the 7th year 82,000 with USANA. So that's 2012. And 2012 was I think it was a year kind of like of rebuilding in a way, because it sucked. Like my income went down by, what was it, 14,000, whatever. I personally sponsored 7 associates, no MVPs from that year. No great people came from 2012. Maybe some of them are still clients today. That's not very much. I'm just looking at my numbers like, holy crap, how did I survive on only personally sponsoring 7 in a year? Like, that's not good. So the thing about 2012, the biggest, probably it was probably one of the best years of my business, is I met Danny Johnson. That's a woman, DANI Johnson.com. Go to DannyJohnson.com. And she is, she's a master at duplication. She's a network marketer that has now retired, but she still teaches, and she's like a generic trainer, kind of like Simon Chan. But she is she does seminars all over the world called First Steps to Success. And one of our colleagues, Jordan Kemper, he became a diamond director in 2012. And the whole company was like, how did you do it? He's like, I started to do what Danny Johnson teaches. And so we were all like, I was like front row, like, what does Danny Johnson do? Well, eventually I went to some Danny Johnson events in 2012 and 2013 and 2014. I ended up becoming one of Danny Johnson's like best students. I was just so into it. Danny Johnson teaches about the personality quadrants. I learned how to master that. She teaches about paying off your debt. I paid off all my credit card debt. I paid off all my student loan debt. In fact, the only debt we have or whatever now is the 2 cars that we have, which we're paying those off right now. But like, I just became like much smarter of a person, a better business person. She teaches scripts. The script that we use with our weight loss is Danny Johnson's script. Everything is on a script. So she has duplication. So that began like a big transformation in my life. Also, I never thought I would get married. Like I not religious. I'm not into that. I didn't, Crystal never pressured me. We were dating. She was my girlfriend. But Danny Johnson talks about getting married and like getting your life in order. She says God, then spouse, then kids, then work down here. Work's down here. And for me, it was like work, God, girlfriend. So I had my priorities out of order. So she basically helped me switch that around. And so in that culture of going to Danny Johnson, I'm like, Crystal, do you want to get married? And she's like, yeah, but I want to go to California a lot. Like she was all about going to California. She's like, eventually I want to maybe move to California. I'm like, well, I don't know, but I think maybe we could talk about that. We got on a few vacations to California, but we're not moving to California. Anyway, so 2012, I made 82,000. I'm in Danny Johnson mode, full out. By 2013, my 8th year, I was all about Danny Johnson. I was doing numbers. I personally sponsored 17 in 2013. That was my best sponsorship year in a long time. The stars from that were Christina and Jeff Newton, Jason Boxwell, and Ray Camacho. Those are my 3 great ones from 2013. I made 85,000 in 2013. So I basically maintained and raised my income a little bit, but I was growing. I was putting together systems. I was being a better businessman, and it was starting to show. The 9th year, and by the way, in that year, 2013, I asked Crystal to marry me, and she said yes. And then like 2 months later, she got cervical cancer, and we had to put our wedding on hold. So the last part of 2013 was like struggling and figuring out what are we going to do with my wife or my future wife, and how are we going to support her. And we ended up going to Brazil and seeing a healer at that year. I mean, my USANA business paid for all of that, So that was 2013. My wife is still on the mend at this point. The 9th year, 2014, I am now full in. I'm doing Danny Johnson scripts duplication. I made 88,000 in 2014. So my income went up a little bit. It had maintained. I personally sponsored only 13, but I was definitely attracting better people. The stars of that year was Victoria Horman, Lillian Galdiano, Carmen and Byron Olaya, and Patty and Efren Ruiz. They were definitely the best of that class of 2014. Things were going great. In the sense of business, my wife was doing chemo and radiation the first part of that year. She finished her treatments in June of 2014, and it was like, okay, Crystal is now done with cancer treatments, but she's still weak. But we were like, let's plan our wedding for the end of 2014, December 2014. So by the end of 2014, it was like we had our wedding, and it was so cool because all of our friends were celebrating Crystal's life. It wasn't just about us getting married, which was awesome, but it was also about Crystal recovering. It was also about her life, celebrating her life. Her family was there. Everyone was there. It was at the top 14th floor downtown of the old Plaza Hotel is where we got married. And, I never wanted to get married, but once I got married, it was the best decision I ever made. I'm so happy Crystal and with our life and our marriage. Um, Adriana asks, what religion did we end up doing it through? We didn't actually do it through a church. We did, I guess you could say, a justice of the peace type of ceremony, but LaRue Epler is my spiritual, you could say, like, not spiritual, but also like mentor. Yeah, I would say spiritual mentor is probably the best way. She actually drove up from Dallas and did the ceremony. And we're really into A Course in Miracles. That's kind of like what I'm really into, which is actually the teachings of Jesus. It's just delivered in a different way. So that being said, 2014 was awesome. Like, it was just so cool. Our wedding happened. We were going on our honeymoon, or our mini honeymoon, what we went at the end of the year. And then when 2015 hit, it was like, now it was like my story had just gotten so much better, because it was like Crystal's healed from the cancer. We just got married. We're now doing home events like crazy. In fact, Danny Johnson kind of stressed home events back in that time. So 2015 was like where I was starting to master the home events. I was working very, very focused with my business. I had mastered a lot of duplication and scripting, and I was like just becoming a better businessman. So in 2015 with Crystal, we made 108,000 with USANA. And that was awesome, because that was like 6 figures. And we were executive Ruby 3 different times. I personally sponsored 13 that year. So again, not a ton, but the stars were Renee and Megan Martinez from my class of 2015, obviously. Silver directors going strong today. Ruby Perez, who's an achiever, and that was it. That was 2. Like, so again, for every like 10 or 12 associates, you're going to have like 2 really good ones. Okay. So that was 2015. We had 1 new achiever in 2015, 5 new builders, 8 new believers, and 4 new sharers, and we made over 6 figures. So that was like a huge year for us. Moving on into 2016, 2016 we maintained. I only personally sponsored 9. So it's like, wow, I wasn't personally sponsoring a lot. I was doing a lot of home events for existing associates, but that's not the way you get your income up. But I mean, we maintained. We made 103,000 in 2016. We became Emerald directors that year. That was such a big year for us, because we had been Ruby for 9 years. Renee and Megan became Silvers. Carmen and Byron and Steve Klein became directors, kind of part of our Achiever run, or our Emerald run. We had 3 new achievers that year: Ruby Perez, Victoria Horman, and Khalid and Barbara Medina. We had 4 new builders, 5 believers, and 3 sharers that year. So it was a great year, 2016. Now, what happened in 2016 is that the company changed from Nutrimil to MySmart Shakes, and everybody got deflated. People did not like the MySmart Shakes. People were pissed off that Nutrimil was going to be phased out. There was lots of internal things going on, like as far as like how the associates felt, and I was trying to stay positive throughout the whole thing, but I was also getting burnt out with doing so many home events. And so it was kind of like a down year. Like, and by the way, like, that's business, right? Like, so you don't quit, but you adjust. And in the year of 2017, though, I was getting burnt out, and like, I was like, I don't think I can do this grind of home events, like 3 home events, 2 to 3 home events a week. Just events, going places all the time, driving everywhere. Like, I just was like, 2017 was like, okay, maybe I should still have USANA, but maybe I should look for other ways to be an entrepreneur, because I don't know if I can do this grind. So my income went down to 81,000 in 2017. I did try some wholesaling of real estate, but wholesaling of real estate, like, I think I made like maybe 15, 20,000 in wholesaling of real estate. So it was kind of like a part-time thing, but it was weird. I was driving a lot, and I was in the heat, and I was looking at like really shoddy properties, and like trying to flip them and flip contracts, and the whole world of real estate. I mean, you can make a lot of money in it, but I was already kind of like addicted to the lifestyle of USANA, of being able to sleep in, being able to not have to be in the heat, being able to work out every day, not having to drive around, not having to be in like dirty houses. And like, so I learned, I guess, in 2017 that real estate and wholesaling was not what I wanted to do. We still ended up making close to six figures if you add the USANA and the real estate together, but like, it just wasn't like what I wanted to do. I kind of learned. And in 2017 is when I learned about social media and building on social media. In fact, it was the end of 2017. I met Jessie Lee Ward, and that was kind of like, she became my next Danny Johnson, like my next kind of mentor from afar. And I set out to master social media so that I could, and I got my fire back, my enthusiasm back. So the class of 2017, I personally sponsored 7 associates. The stars from that is Adriana Perez, who's live on this webinar right now. Shout out to you, Adriana, and Regina Walker, who is also still active with us. So out of those, I didn't sponsor very many in 2017, and that's the key, is personal sponsorship. So that's what I've learned through Simon Chan. I also started growing from Simon Chan and learning and doing coaching with Simon Chan, actually in 2016. So Simon Chan has really been like tremendous this last few years of my business. And that's right, Adriana, you rock. In 2017, my parents became executive gold directors, which was awesome. That was really the last year of my mom's being healthy. And so they became gold directors, and they went on an awesome vacation earlier in the year. And then later in the year, my mom got diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and she passed away 11 months later. So, that was obviously a hard time as well, because of like my mom's health the last part of 2017. And going into 2018, I was still learning and mastering social media. So I also still had quite a bit of wholesale real estate deals done. So in the 13th year of my business with USANA, I made $78,000, but I also ended up still making $24,000 in like wholesaling, flipping real estate stuff. So we ended up still making 6 figures. A lot of this again came from the people skills I learned from USANA. But I sponsored 10 associates personally in the class of 2018. The rock stars were Sue-Ann Knobloch, who's a new achiever as of yesterday. Shout out to you, Sue-Ann. And Gloria and Albert Rodriguez, who are builders and platinums. Oh, and Sue-Ann's also platinum. I need to say that too. Sue-Ann is platinum and achiever at the same time. Oh my God, so awesome. So there you have it. The top 2 associates there was Sue-Ann Knobloch and Gloria and Albert Rodriguez out of those 10. But now I'm locked into social media, right? Like now I'm like all about that social media life and like learning and growing. I'm not driving around town. I'm doing 3-way calls like I did in the first year. I've like come all the way around circle. I'm happy. I'm growing. I mean, it's just awesome what's happening now in our business. We last year we sponsored 300 new preferred customers as a team, 42 associates as a team. I personally sponsored in 2018 only 10 people. So we had 1 new builder that year, Patty, 13 new believers, 3 shares, 1 new silver. Becky and Betty became silver that year. So now we're in 2019. We're definitely trending towards a 6-figure year. I haven't done all the numbers, but it's just been a huge shift with social media. I have personally sponsored to date 29 associates in 2019. That's the most I've ever personally sponsored. Our business is growing just everywhere. It's like getting a life of its own, and it's starting to happen because of the personal sponsorship, because I am so focused on introducing USANA to new people. My team is now watching that, and they're doing the same thing. And I'm not even training them on anything. I just have the scripts, and everyone knows they need to use the scripts to continue to like duplicate it out. This year so far, we celebrate our 2 new achievers, which just happened in the last week, which is, again, Sue-Ann Knobloch and Carlos Gomez, who we will be having on to share their story. We've also had 2 other builders associates this year, Albert Rodriguez and Clara Martinez. I feel like someone else has become a builder recently. Well, Carlos just became builder and then upped it to achiever. But so we're having more higher rank advancements in 2019. Things are just growing like way better, way different. And I'm happy because I'm not in the grind. I'm not driving around town. I'm not flipping properties. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just staying focused on my social media in my air conditioning house. I get to work out every day, but it's not about me. I'm getting to give a bigger impact out there with social media and with videos and things like that. So, it's very cool going into this age with this new knowledge. They say luck is laboring under correct knowledge. That's what luck stands for, laboring under correct knowledge. And we have correct knowledge now. The correct knowledge is personal sponsoring. Personal sponsoring, duplicating with scripts, and doing it without driving around town, right? Like doing three-way calls. That is the correct knowledge. If you labor under correct knowledge, you're going to have growth. You're going to have people sign up with you. You're going to have retention. So that is my story. I know I kind of went long here, but I wanted to bring you value in lieu of missing out on our special guest today. So I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar by just giving you the last piece of advice. The last piece of advice I have for you, especially after sharing this journey, is that make a commitment that you're going to figure it out. Make a commitment that you're going to continue to do activity until you get so good and you figure out what works that you can now have the income to where you can walk away from your job, or you can give back more, or you can do the things you want to do with your business. Make a commitment that you're going to figure it out and never quit until you figure it out. I think that's what has gotten me through all these years, is that like I never quit. Like my mentality was, I am going to keep doing this and succeed at it, or I'm literally going to die trying, but I'll never quit. As long as I'm alive, I don't know how many more years I'll be alive, but if it's 40 or 50 or whatever amount, like I am going to still be doing USANA, and I'm going to figure this out. And like that type of mentality is what's allowed me to stay in the game when a lot of people have dropped out over the years, and continue to bring on new waves of leaders and live an awesome lifestyle. It's not just about the money. It's about how you make the money. It's about having your time. It's about being able to control your time. It's about having better health. It's about so much in addition to the money that makes your life rich. And I would say that, or wealthy, whatever you want to call it, but I feel like a very wealthy, rich man because of not only being able to have the income, but also have it on my terms, right? And that's really the best thing. So that's everything I have for you today. Thank you for watching. We're going to go ahead and unmute the lines, and everyone say, have an awesome day and God bless.
Have an awesome day. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good job.
Thank you.